G'day, welcome to another episode of Larrikin Japan. Today I'd like to have a bit of a talk about a lot of little companies, how they're going out of business. Now it's not because they're not making any money. These businesses, when they shut them down, they're very profitable. Like this little factory here. This has been here for a long time. You can see by the style of the factory, the roof and all. You know, it's been here for a long time. So a lot of these companies, they started up after the war, after the Second World War, and been going on so a few generations. But the trouble is, they don't have, if they haven't got children to pass the business down to, they just shut them down because, you know, they don't want to, they can't do anything else with them. A lot of these places, They've been working on, you know, making patterns and making things, a lot make car parts and different things. And they've perfected this over, you know, 100 years sort of thing, 80 years sort of thing. So, you know, they really got it down to a fine art. Now, their name is very important to them. So they don't want to just give the business to someone else who's not going to do a good job. And gives their name a bad name. So if they haven't got anyone to pass the business down to, they just close it. They just shut them down. So then you've got people out of work, people who were working there, they lose their jobs. It's pretty sad. But this is what's happening. I'll show you a few places what have shut down. Now here's another little factory here which has been going. This one's a bit bigger. This is sort of reasonable size sort of factory, but it's been here a long time. You can tell by the style of the buildings. Now these buildings, they got no insulation in them. In summer they're so damn hot, in winter they're that damn cold, but you know they got a lot of machinery in here. They make a lot of parts and different things, so that has got an air conditioner going upstairs. It's probably for the office or something. They probably have an office upstairs or a lunchroom. But yeah, these sort of companies, they, you know, what happens when they haven't got anyone to pass them down to? You know, they just close them down. It's very difficult to sell them. A lot of people don't want to buy them. Sometimes the kids don't want to take over the company. So yeah, this is it here. We'll just sneak around this way, sneak through here. So this is the other side of it. So it's been here a long time, this company. So these little companies, they just sort of go, and then, you know, if they have no one to pass them down to, they might have sons and that, but they don't want to do it. They, you know, want to work in the city, do IT or, you know, social media, or they have a job in a company. They don't want to work here 5-6 days a week, working long hours, can't have holidays and this sort of stuff. So they just don't want to do it. So they just close these places down. A lot of these little companies, they just close down. Now I know a guy who's got a rope factory. He makes rope. He also makes strings for nets and that sort of thing. So his mother started the business up about 30 years ago. And then he took it over. So he's doing it. He has one daughter. She doesn't want to take the business over. So he's in his 50s now. So he'll probably do it till he's about 70 or so. And then after that, that business will probably close. So then he sells a lot of his like string to net factories which make net. So when he closes down, they can't get their string to make the nets. They have to try to source it from other places. So this is a big problem. And plus he has staff there, and they won't have a job. So this is what's happening with a lot of these little businesses. Now all this is all just around near my house. It's very close. My house is just up there. These places are very close. Now, this next place here, it used to be a dairy. Now, the man, he has daughters and he has one son. He's got a younger son, but the younger son didn't want to take over the dairy. He works for Makita. He's a manager, so he's got a good position. So he didn't want to take the dairy over. So they just sold all the cows and closed it all down. Now they just rent the building out to this other place, and they just get vegetables and sell vegetables and do different things like that. So he gets a little bit of money for the renting the place. But this is what happens. You know, no one wanted to take over the business. So he just shut it down. It was a good business, it was making money. They had the cows, used to milk the cows and all, had all the equipment. But no one wanted to take it over, so they closed it down. This place in front, it was a cotton mill. So you'd walk past here, and then what do they call them? The things were going 24 hours a day, making the cotton and that sort of thing. But same thing with him. He got 2 daughters. They were married. The son-in-laws didn't want to take it over, so he just closed it down. It was another good business. He had all the what do they call them? Yeah, all the machines to make the cotton. And so he just closed it down. This was it here. So that's what happens. Now, also, another way they can do it to try to keep it going, my wife's friend, her husband, when they got married, her parents grow tea. They grow tea. They got a lot of tea. Good business. But same with him. The father, he had no one to pass it down to. So the son-in-law, her husband, the father adopted him so he could keep the family name. So then he took over the tea business. So he changed his surname to keep the family business going. So this sort of happens in Japan too. Some husbands will take their wife's name to run the family business, to keep the surname, to keep the family name going. So this is not all that common, but it does happen. It does happen, especially trying to keep these businesses going. So this is what's happening around Japan. A lot of these small businesses are just shutting up shop. Not because they're not profitable, they are profitable businesses. They are making money, but they just got no one to hand it down to. A lot of people don't want to buy it. Some of their kids don't want to do the business, so they just get out. They want to go live in the city and do whatever, work in an office or do their own thing. And there's no one to hand the business down to. And like I said, a lot of these small places, they don't want to sell their business because they don't want their family name tarnished. If the person who takes over the business doesn't do a good job, it comes back on them, onto their family name. And they've been doing the business for, 60 or 80 years, so they don't want that. It's very important to them. Now another one down here. There was a guy round here. He had 3 big greenhouses. He used to grow cucumbers. He'd grow cucumbers all year round. He employed a lot of women in there to help do the cucumbers. He's old now and he got sick, he's diabetic. And he couldn't do the business. So they broke down the greenhouses. So now it's just a field because he couldn't do it anymore. And that was a good profitable business. He was making a lot of money. Everyone in the area said he's rich. So it was a good business, but now it's gone. Now it's just an empty field where there used to be greenhouses there. So this is what's happening around Japan. A lot of these little businesses, and there's so many of them, they're everywhere. You have these little businesses, they pop up everywhere. There's no real zoning laws in Japan. Like in Australia, you've got residential and you've got business. So if you've got a business, you have to have it in the business district. In Japan, they can just sort of have them anywhere. From what I can gather, you can have a house and have a factory next to us. Where we used to live, place we used to rent, there was a welding factory next door to us. So if they were busy, they'd be welding and banging away at stuff at 10 o'clock at night. You know, so, but it's just normal. Get away with it here. We're in Australia, you wouldn't get away with it. You can't do it. But here it's okay. Yeah, so down here, it's just empty now. But before there used to be 3 big greenhouses down here. And he was growing cucumbers, making a lot of money out of it. They got no children, no one to take over the business. So it just folded. They broke down the greenhouses. They might have probably sold them. You know, someone bought them. They dismantled and taken away, or they're scrapped. I'm not sure what happened to them. But yeah, so Japan is losing a lot of its little businesses, and it is happening. So, you know, this is just in my area, very close to me. There's 3 places in a few minute walk from my house what this has happened to. Yeah, so here this used to have 3 big greenhouses here, but now it's just turned into a rice field. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future, but you know, there is opportunity. You know, if I was coming to Japan now, I think I would try to get into the farming. And I think if you got into that industry and learned and gotten to know people, you know, when people are retiring, you can probably take over their business, their place. You know, you probably pay them a bit of rent and you can probably get the machinery off them cheap and this sort of stuff, because they've got no one to hand it down to. So, you know, like, you could end up with a good business in a few years if you put in the effort. But if I was coming now, that's what I would do. I'd probably go into the farming industry instead of, like I did, went into the teaching, because the teaching is dead now. There's no money in it. It's just pretty hard business. Where farming, I think, has got a big future, because there's less and less farmers doing it. They still need fruit and vegetables and tea and all this sort of stuff. So I think that is the area to get into. You could end up with a really good business. You can employ some people just part-time when you need them, and you'd be right. Anyway, that's it for today. Just a little bit of a talk about what's happening with some of the small businesses in Japan, and why they're shutting them down. But these businesses were good businesses. It's not like they were going broke and they weren't making any money. They were making money. Anyway, till next time, that's all for now.